Okay, so this is a guy, Jack Morgan, that I have been wanting to react to for ages. He's got a lot of good stuff, and I just have never done a reaction to him before. So this is my first reaction to him, and this is the kind of stuff he does. All of this kind of stuff. And he's been severely suppressed by the YouTube algorithm, and he's been canceled, and he's been pushed down and stuff. And he's got a lot of really interesting videos. So he has this one that just popped up, and I watched a few seconds of it. I was like, this is reaction worthy, and I've been really trying to catch up on stuff. Let's do it. Okay, so we'll make it big, and let's listen. Let's rewind it, and let's listen to him, and we'll.
Oh, all right. We sound good. This one's by Asian Dad Energy. What a name, dude. This one goes, what my son told me about Gen Z's future shocked me. This is one of the ones where parents finally start understanding why young people are pissed. It's kind of refreshing, actually.
Day, I got drawn into a very long conversation with my son. So it turns out that my teenage son and his gang of friends thinks that the future is going to be bad no matter what they do. So he thought that you might as well give up trying. Initially, I felt kind of annoyed. I felt that my son should get out there and fight life's contests.
You see, I know a lot of people that think we're going to solve all the problems that are pushing down on America and other places too, with politics. And in America, it's the Democrats or it's the Republicans. And I know people who've switched back and forth from Democrat to Republican, and they try to support the Democrats, they're going to fix everything, and then they don't do it. And then they switch to Republican. They're like, oh, we're going to support the Republicans. They're going to fix everything. And then they don't do it. And I can see why people give up on politics and on other things as well. That a lot of times it seems like there's only two options, and you try both of them and they don't work, and then you give up. Or there might be a whole bunch of different options. And you see many other people trying all the different options, and then they give up. So understand the thought here.
Instead of running to me and whining about it. Honestly, I felt that my boy was being lazy and entitled. I have given him so many opportunities, and why should he not take advantage of those opportunities to advance himself in life? Where is this defeatist, giving up on everything attitude coming from? And just then I realized something. I'm turning into my own parents. Because as I was growing up, whenever I had some rough spots in my life, this sort of attitude and response was exactly what I got from my own parents. I would be blamed for being entitled, for being ungrateful for the blessings that I have, and basically
The classic Asian family. My bad. He's like, did you do your homework? He's doing homework with chopsticks. That's fucked up.
be called a screw up for everything. Pretty much every major decision that I've made as an adult, in the eyes of my parents, are at some level a mistake or a screw up or a disappointment. Now that I'm laid off from my big tech job, to my parents, this is the greatest mistake that I've ever made in my life. Now, I'm always going to love my parents, but in my personal opinion, this style of parenting is highly, highly counterproductive. And so I wanted to.
That's so nice to hear that, dude. Like, I grew up with a very different, my parents were not like most of my friends' parents. My parents were like the opposite of every parent. And we're talking 20 years ago, I was 16. But when I was 16, I had my dad going, hey, dude, you don't want to work for anybody. Because you got to learn how to work with people, not for people. He had his own business. And then I had my mom going, Jack, please, for the love of God, do something with your personality. Get on TV, the radio. I don't give a fuck what it is. It was way before YouTube. She goes, you do not want to end up in an office. She goes, you're better than that. And she goes, and honestly, it's not what it's cracked up to be. But that was then when that still made sense. But everybody else had the classic college, play it safe, job, the play it safe mentality. If you didn't go that route, which made sense because it worked back then. It still worked a little bit 20 years ago.
Yeah. 20 years ago, that kind of pathway worked. And at the very least, the high school education pathway worked, before that. So I was going to high school in the 1980s and the very, very early 90s. And yeah, everyone knew that you graduated high school. Only the people who were too stupid to graduate or who were too foolish to graduate did not do so, and everyone made fun of them and looked down on them, and everyone knew you had to at least graduate high school. But high school graduation was a path to job success in those days. And then it became, like college is the new high school, and college graduation is the requirement. And now it's even worse. It's like there's no path to success. And even if you find one, by the time you get to the end of the path, it's blocked off. Just because it's working for people at the end of the path right now doesn't mean that by the time you get to the end of the path, it'll still be working. People are just expected to jump careers and all kinds of weird stuff, and you can't plan ahead. It's really hard.
But imagine that same rhetoric today. And I think older people like this gentleman here, Asian Dad Energy, I think he's snapping out of it. And it's a good thing. I think a lot of parents are snapping out of it. And if there is one time where you should be like, your kid's not crazy, I think my kid's onto something, it's now. It's today. And in case you're watching this, maybe your parents, maybe you're older, maybe you're 35. Maybe you never had anybody say you can do it. Maybe nobody's ever told you were smart. They might have called you a smart ass, but you didn't catch the word smart. Some people didn't have that self-esteem. I got told my whole life I'm the best. I'm great. I could do what I want. Do it. You can do it. Even if I was fucking up, they still would say, you're doing good. You're the man. A lot of people didn't have that. But if there's ever a time that the world needed that, it's right now. Even older people, even people in their 30s and 40s. I'm here to tell you, you're not tripping. You ain't crazy. Come on, girl.
Yeah, I'm kind of laughing. I'm sitting here. He didn't even mention me. I'm in my 50s. He's like, even older people in your 30s and 40s. Yeah, I'm older than that. I'm older than that.
Anyways, back to you, Asian Dad Energy from downtown. Just want to throw that out there. It's refreshing, and I like it.
Provide my son with a slightly higher level of parental guidance. As such, I had a much longer, in-depth conversation with my son. I really wanted to understand why he and his friends thought that their lives and their future was going to be bad no matter what they try to do. Now, what I heard was quite remarkable, and I'm going to share it with everyone. But please keep in mind, this is the point of view of a bunch of teenage boys in high school. Here are the key points mentioned. So there is a huge fear that there will be a scarcity of good jobs in the future. This fear of...
What are you talking about, scarcity of good jobs in the future? There's a scarcity of good jobs right now. There's a scarcity of good jobs right now. What are you talking about in the future? It's already happening.
Not being able to get money, not being able to build a secure and thriving future, of not being able to advance in life. It seems like their fathers, the older brothers, social media, they're telling the boys that getting good, high-paying jobs or careers will be next to impossible in the future. AI, humanoid robots, all of these things were mentioned as essentially a possible cause of this happening. Now,
I don't agree with that for the most part. I agree with it slightly, but But this was happening before AI and robots started coming up as a big thing. This was happening before that. So this problem predates those supposed causes. So when a problem predates the causes, you can't put too much weight on those causes.
I think this is a really legitimate concern, right? Because as human civilization moves towards an increasingly automated future, the number of good, high paying jobs for people really could drop through the floor. Now, my boy also has this opinion that in the near future, just in time for when he becomes an adult, inflation will skyrocket to the point where the price for basic staples like groceries would be so high that necessities would almost be like luxuries. Now, both of us, me and my boy, are science fiction fans.
It's kind of already like that though, so he's like kind of laughing because it's like, well, it's kind of already happened. I mean, we had like 30 years of inflation in 5 years. Everybody knows this. I don't care if it's this guy. And I think this guy just got laid off. That's why his channel blew up. He got laid off of his big tech job. You used to be able to stay somewhere for 25 years. I'm not saying you can't do that. But for instance, if I were to become a plumber, which I would be a terrible one, or an electrician, I'd probably be really bad at it. I know that the only way to really make some good money is if I'm booking the jobs. But I come from that. I had somebody doing it in front of me for my whole life. I had my dad running a business, and he wasn't the smartest guy. He was smart, but he was like getting fucked up and partying. I'm like, well, he did it. Subconsciously, when you see other people know smarter than you do it, you say to yourself, well, I could do that. Can't be that hard if he's doing it. And I think people need to have that attitude, not in like I'm better than you, but that always gave me, you hear this thing a lot where people go, how is that guy doing it? He's fucking stupid. I'm sure that happens to me on YouTube. Because why, if that guy could do it, I could do it. Fucking this guy, this jamoke. I actually think that's a good attitude to have. I think that's a good thing to do. But now acting on it's a little bit better, different, and having people around you saying you can do it. Because most of the time it's you can't do it or just get a safe job. But it's like there's no safe jobs.
Yeah, there's no safe jobs. The safe jobs don't exist anymore.
But then people call you. I don't think it's crazy. Remember, this guy's making a YouTube channel. I'm going to fucking subscribe to this guy. He's got 60,000 subscribers, bro. This guy's making money from YouTube. It might not be the end all be all, but come on, dude. He's fucking doing it. I sure as shit can do it too, man. Not everybody's going to be the world's best talker. Like I said, if I were to get into a trade, I'll help build the house, but I might fuck it up a little bit. It might not be even. It's going to be on a tilt. I'll do it. Rain might be coming in, so everybody's got their strong suit, but I'm not saying everybody be content creators. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I've heard people. I can see why he gives a disclaimer here. Because I do hear people say that. They say, "Oh, the solution to a stable job is to be a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer or whatever." And no, not really, because that landscape, the way that you succeed in that landscape is volatile, and it always has been. What causes success and what causes failure, it changes from year to year. And a lot of it is according to the whims of people at the very top. They tweak the algorithm just slightly, and suddenly a channel that had been very popular just can't hardly get any more viewers. And then there's also stuff like shadow banning and canceling and putting caps on channels. Like, I've heard a lot of people say, it's a Gundam, that channel. that he should have easily been at 1 million subscribers, but he can't seem to get very high, because every time he starts going up, he suddenly loses a bunch of subscribers. People get unsubscribed from him and they don't even know it. And so there does seem to be caps on some channels too. And this guy, he's been canceled and suppressed. He knows about that. But yeah, becoming a YouTuber is not the answer to a stable career, because especially not for a whole bunch of people, because we don't know how it's going to go in the future. You know, even if it becomes really easy to make money in like a couple months or something like that, YouTube changes the algorithm and suddenly everyone's having a really good time and increasing their viewers, and it's easier to make money, YouTube could just change the algorithm the next day and suppress everyone. So you don't know what's going to happen in the future. Everything is unstable, and content creation might look attractive, but it is also unstable. So I'm not discouraging people from going into it. I actually do want to encourage people to go into it, because I think it's a satisfying creative endeavor if that's what you're into. But I do think that when people are encouraged to go into it, they should go into it with realistic expectations and know that, you know, there might never be any money in it for them personally. And even if there is, that money might be unstable. You know, if you do start making money on YouTube, make sure you save up and invest, you know, like Frogan did not do with her money. Make sure you save up and invest. You know, watch some Caleb Hammer and see what you should do with your finances. Watch some Caleb Hammer and see what you should do. Because even if you have a really good year, you don't know that it's always going to be good. Might have a good year, and then it might be really hard after that. You don't know what's going to happen.
There's opportunity. It's just not safe and cushy like it used to be. This shit could just disappear tomorrow. And I'll be like, well, I'm going to have to go back to selling used goods. I'm going to have to do some shit, you know. There's always going to be things that stayed there for that till the end of time. Pawn shops, tradesmen. There's always things that are going to be around for a long time. It's just, are you good at that? That's the problem.
And we started talking about this 1970s science fiction movie called Soylent Green. This was like this dystopian world of the 2020s where a bag of groceries would cost more than $200. And both of us was like, oh my God, this movie actually happened in real life. And in reality, inflation in recent years have been so bad that the price of basic necessities, rent, food, transportation, utilities, these things have gotten so high that for the average young adult with the median income, pretty much all of their money is being eaten up just to exist, leaving almost no money for anything else. So this is also a very legit issue. So that...
Yeah. See, young people are seeing the reality because their whole lives, the people that are really young right now, their whole lives, they've been living in the messed up world. So older people like me, and in the 30s and 40s as well, have seen a world that where the American economy was at least functioning somewhat. You know, people that are 30 or 40, you know, it was when they were kids, but they at least remember that and remember when it was functioning like that. And but the young people, you know, that are 20 years old, they have never seen a world in which the American economy was functioning correctly. They have never seen that, not even somewhat correctly. And so they don't believe what they're told in school and what they're seeing on the news, that, oh, this is fine. They don't believe it because they don't have any of it in their personal experience. It's harder to fool people when you're telling them something that they have never personally experienced or seen. It's harder to fool them. And they're not taking it. They're not taking that misinformation. The real young people are like, Yeah, I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
That then led to the question of assets. My son felt that by the time that he and his friends became men, it would be like joining a game of Monopoly at the end stages, where every single lot has already been bought up. The thought is that all the property, houses, land, assets, stocks, it would all be so high priced that they would not be able to acquire property for themselves. My boy
It's already like that. You know, the own a house dream, even the own a car dream, is getting further and further out of reach for young people. It's everything is messed up. You know, the bad people have got their fingers into everything, and they control just about all of it now.
thinks that price of housing, for example, will be so high that he'll never be able to purchase a house for himself.
He's right. Yeah, he's right. Unless it changes drastically, he's right. He'll never be able to purchase a house.
also think this is a reasonable and legit concern, right?
Yeah, he ain't tripping on that. And the truth is, for most people, I would argue, I would say 90% of people, they want to go do their job, they want to clock out, and they want to make just enough money and be able to afford their bills. I would argue that's most people. Most people don't want to be entrepreneurs and fucking work 7 days a week and building their own business. That most people don't want to do that. They fucking don't. I've had 3 failed businesses: skate house, shit's whack clothing company, a carpet cleaning company with tile. Most people don't want to bother fucking doing it. They don't want to try. They don't. Okay. I had a successful resell online pawn shop business that took me years to build. And now YouTube personality. People told me I should be on TV. So I said, okay, I might be good at that. People keep telling me to do it. You know, it wasn't something I ever was like, I'm going to do that. It was just, I was a failed, wanted to be professional skateboarder. That didn't work. Tried my hardest for over a decade. I got kind of far, but not far enough. My point is that's where the issue is, though, is most people were cool with $800 a week. That was plenty. That was fine. $1,000 a week, gold standard. I'm living high. I'm good. That's kind of the real issue. Not I don't want to work 7 days a week. I'll do it. I've done 8 days a week. I'll fucking do it. I'm psycho. I'm like that. I will do it. I will fucking do it. I've done it. I'm doing it right now. I'm going on week 2 straight every day. My poor future wife is like, "You're working again?" I go, "Yeah." I go, "Do you want to be broke?" She goes, "No." I go, "Okay. Well, I'm going to go film some videos. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to fucking get it." But even I don't want to do that, to be fair. Anyways, back to the housing. I rent. I'm making crazy money. I'm like, I'm not paying $4,500 a month for a mortgage. Suck a dick. Actually, suck several of them. Suck 7 penises. I'm not doing it. No. Doesn't make sense. Not saying I'll never own. I do own a house. I inherited it. And maybe this kid will inherit his father's house. And one day his dream will come true of owning a property that he can also fix everything that goes wrong with it. It's fucked up.
Because we've
Okay, so anyways, this guy has got really good content and a really interesting video here, Jack Morgan. But I want to stop here because I do not like to do parasitic reactions. And where I just watched the entire video, I feel like watching the entire video isn't necessarily parasitic. It depends on a whole bunch of things, like how you do it and how much commentary you add yourself and all kinds of factors. So there are a lot of videos I will watch all the way through when I react to them. But I kind of feel like it's important for me to justify in my own heart that I'm not being a parasitic reactor. And because of this, I'm going to cut it off. It's about the halfway mark, and that's the place where I like to cut off videos sometimes, just to force you to go to this guy's channel, go to this video, and watch it yourself. Yeah, I'm trying to force you to do that because you're interested in this video, aren't you? You wouldn't have watched this far in my reaction unless you were interested in this video. And look at all the stuff that he has got also. A lot of good stuff. So anyways, I'm gonna, the links will be in the description, and I'm gonna leave off this reaction right here. Really good stuff, really interesting stuff there.